In the shadows of forgotten woodlands, and across rivers that never sleep, a kingdom rose not by chance, but by conquest. In the previous part, we talked about the ancient timeline of Ukraine and the pre-Kievan era. In that video, I told you that the story was building up to the Kyivan Rus era. What is Kyivan Rus and why is it so important? Well, you know when you ask the Greeks what they're most proud of, they'll say Alexander the Great. When you ask the Italians, they'll point to the Roman Empire. In the same way, the Ukrainians take immense pride in Kyivan Rus. There is some dispute about who the true successor of Kyivan Rus is, as the Russians also associate themselves with this empire and consider themselves heirs to Kyivan Rus, especially through the narrative promoted by the medieval Grand Duchy of Moscow, which later became the Russian Empire. But Ukrainians say otherwise. According to them, the capital and focal point of Kyivan Rus was Kiev, which is now the capital of modern-day Ukraine. So without further ado, let's talk about
all my friends have cool and shiny stuff. I have nothing. I want silver jewelry.
But honey, I go out all day, work, catch food for us, and I even built this house for us.
No, no, no. I want silver.
But I wanna rest.
I want silver.
But
I want silver. I want new clothes. Bring the one made from silk. The food doesn't taste good. Bring me some spice. Perfumes. Jewelry. Wine. Olive oil.
Huh? Honey, where are you?
You don't give me enough time. You don't give me enough love. I'm getting a divorce.
No!
why the long face? She just left me. Well, in that case, if you feel like your life isn't worth anything anymore and probably wanna kill yourself, what better way but to join the Varangian mercenary guard in Byzantium? The pay is awesome. You get all the glory and fame you can imagine. And I guess it's better than this hole you've crawled into. Do they have therapists in Byzantium? God no, but they have wine and war. Works just as well. Well, when you stop feeling sorry for yourself, docks, sunrise, bring the axe, leave the hard rake.
The Varangians were Norse seafarers, primarily from what is now Sweden, who began venturing eastward in the 8th and 9th centuries, while their cousins in Denmark and Norway sailed west to raid and settle in England, Ireland and Normandy. These Swedish Norsemen, often referred to as Rus, headed along the Baltic Sea through rivers and lakes into the Slavic heartlands of Eastern Europe. There were two main reasons why the Eastern Vikings moved eastward rather than westward, unlike their counterparts from Norway and Denmark. Firstly, the Eastern Vikings were more interested in trade than conquest. They sought luxuries from the east, silver, silk, spices and slaves, to bring back to Scandinavia. They also worked as mercenaries in the Byzantine army. Secondly, Sweden's eastern coast had natural harbors, and the Baltic Sea opened into river systems that led deep into what is now Russia, Ukraine and Belarus. One of the earliest Norse settlements was Storoya Ladoga, a key trading post and staging ground. From Ladoga, they traveled upstream on the Volkhov River, reaching Lake Ilmen. Near the southern end of Lake Ilmen, the Varangians established Homgard, which would later evolve into Novgorod, which translates to New Town. This was more than a trading post, it became a seat of power and Norse-Slavic fusion. The Norse didn't just stay separate, they interacted heavily with the local Slavic tribes through trade, intermarriage alliances and even conflict. Over time, they began to rule over the Slavic people. Now next,
I don't understand one thing. Why were the Swedish Norsemen called Rus?
Fair question. The term Rus has sparked debate among historians for a long time, and there are several theories why the Swedish Norsemen were called Rus. One major theory which is widely accepted today is that Rus comes from the Old Norse word which means rowing or men who row. Rutsi is still the Finnish word for Sweden till this day. These Norsemen came by rowing their longships through rivers like Dnieper and Volkhov. Other theories say that Rus is a Slavic word derived from the river Rus, a tributary of the Dnieper, and some say that the word Rus is an Iranian word coming from ancient Iranian tribes like Rusa, Roxolani, etc. The widely accepted one is only the first one, which says that Rus was a word for Norsemen of Sweden. Even though a lot of dubious claims have been made about the origin of the Rus, as some say they were not at all Norsemen but were actually the local Slavic population, this nationalist and dubious narrative has been promoted by some governments throughout time, especially in Stalinist period when Soviet historiography pushed this narrative to distance themselves and to dispel Nazi propaganda that said that the Soviet state owed its existence to the old Germanic tribes. Nevertheless, there is a scholarly consensus that the Rus were actually Norsemen who originated in Sweden, and the source that a lot of historians use to describe the origins of Rus is the primary chronicle, compiled in the early 12th century by a monk named Nestor at a monastery in Kiev. It is the main early medieval source describing the origins of the Rus state. It is a blend of history, legend, and religious interpretation, so not everything is 100% accurate, but still, it's still one of the most reliable out of the other sources. Standing in the shadows, stepping out slowly, he's carved from stone, a legend unknown, he is Rurik. According to the primary chronicle, around 862 AD, the local Slavs invited a Varangian chieftain named Rurik to rule over them and bring order. Rurik settled in Novgorod and founded the Rurikid dynasty, ruling from 862 to 879 AD, which would go on to rule Kyivan Rus and even centuries later, Tsarist Russia. After Rurik's death, his successor, possibly his kinsman, Oleg, also known as Oleg the Wise, moved south along the Dnieper River, conquering and uniting key cities. In 882 AD, Oleg seized control of Kiev, a Slavic trading hub more centrally located on the trade route to Constantinople. He declared Kiev the new capital of the Rus, proclaiming it the mother of all Rus cities. Despite generally positive relations between Kyivan Rus and Byzantium, tensions arose when the Byzantines imposed strict trade restrictions and at times even violated agreements with the Rus. The defiance pushed Prince Oleg to take decisive action. His bold campaign against Constantinople not only demonstrated the might of the Rus, but also secured highly favorable trade treaties, strengthening their economic and political standing. Now, Oleg's reign was really successful, But after Oleg's reign ended in 912 AD, Rurik's son Igor rose to the throne. His reign was relatively unstable than that of Oleg, with failed campaigns against the Byzantines, and struggled to control the various tribes under his rule, one of which were the Drevlians, who refused to pay tribute to Igor. Eventually, Igor, the Grand Prince of Kiev, got killed while collecting tribute from the Drevlians. After Igor's death in 945 AD, his wife became regent for their son, and she was devastated with grief. You know how we talked before about the fact that her husband Igor got killed while trying to get tribute from the Drevlians. After his death, Olga was out for blood. Princess Olga of Kiev, heart-steeled by grief, prepared to rain fire upon the Drevlians for the ruthless murder of her lord, Prince Igor. She would hear no plea for mercy, no cry for pardon. In every ember that died, her husband's spirit would find vengeance, and in every dying gasp, Olga's promise would be fulfilled. The Drevlians would remember the queen who came for blood, and left only ashes. Wait, stop. Don't you think we should be careful meeting her? I mean, we sorta killed her husband. Relax, we're ambassadors. No one kills an ambassador. Well, I'm not going.
After the meeting,
Hey, what do you know? It was a really positive response. Yeah, man, that nerd was being a real nervous Nelly. I told you it was gonna be okay. Guys, hey, you guys smell something burning? Wait, what? Hey, guys, don't you think it's weird that we killed her husband and then she killed our ambassadors and now all of a sudden she invites us to go bathe? It's a trap. It's a goddamn trap, I am telling you. I have had it with your bullshit! Okay, go away, get out, you're not invited anymore. Woohoo! Yeah, baby! I'ma finally lose my virginity! Ooh, yeah!
Look at this, a dove, God's great gift to humanity. Such a gentle creature. What if I besiege the capital and demand 3 sparrows and 3 doves, and then tie a burning sulfur-soaked cloth to the birds and release them? They'll return to their homes in the capital, and the whole capital will burn down. The Drevlians will know my wrath.
As you can see, Princess Olga took revenge from the Drevlians in 4 stages, and after which the Drevlians never dared to defy her. And she was the first Christian ruler of Kyivan Rus after her baptism in Constantinople. Now, she was kinda bananas, but her reign was relatively really stable. Now, after her son Svyatoslav I Igorovich came to power, he sidelined his mother Olga. Unlike his mother, who was interested in domestic affairs, he was known for being a stereotypical Viking warrior king who was responsible for defeating the Khazars. You know the Khazar Khagnate, the one about whom we talked in the previous video. His conquest resulted in a wide expansion of the empire, which was extremely short-lived and unstable. Eventually, he was killed at the hands of the Pecheneks near Dnieper Rapids, ending his reign. His son, Yaropolk I Svyatoslavich, came to power but was soon killed by his brother Vladimir. Then came the reign of Vladimir the Great, also known as Saint Vladimir of Kiev. Vladimir the Great is known as a key figure in shaping the landscape of Eastern Europe. Firstly, Vladimir abandoned Slavic paganism and adopted Christianity in 988, an event known as Baptism of Rus. He was baptized in Chersonesus, and then he later ordered the mass baptism of Kiev's residents in the Dnieper River. This decision aligned Kyivan Rus with the Byzantine Empire and profoundly influenced Russian, Ukrainian and Belarusian culture. Being a competent administrator, he centralized power, putting more control into the hands of the Grand Prince and out of the influence of the different tribal leaders. He also built fortresses and border defenses against attacking and invading nomads, also established key cities like Belgorod and Pereyaslav. He successfully fought against the Pecheneks, Poles and Volga Bulgars. In the process, expanded Kyivan Rus by conquering Red Ruthenia, also known as Galicia Volhynia, and other territories. He also formed alliances with Byzantine and other European powers through marriage and other pacts. He was also responsible for the wave of Byzantine-style art and culture in his realm and is also widely celebrated as the baptizer of Rus, as we have discussed previously. After his death in 1015, his sons fought for succession. So continuing where we left off, you see, Vladimir the Saint was a stud. He had multiple concubines and wives, and so had lots and lots of heirs. No, heirs. And without any clear succession plan, they fought amongst themselves for the throne. 4 of them are the most important: Svyatopolk the Accursed, Yaroslav the Wise, Boris and Gelb. Svyatopolk the Accursed, or Svyatopolk I, he was Vladimir's eldest surviving son, possibly adopted as his mother was a Greek nun before marrying Vladimir. He seized power in Kiev immediately after Vladimir's death and martyred Boris and Gelb. They were Vladimir's young, Christian-minded sons. So for this reason, this act earned him the name of Svyatopolk the Accursed. So after this, infighting ensued between Yaroslav and Svyatopolk, resulting in major battles fought between the two, in which in the end Yaroslav won, and soon after Svyatopolk dies, and Svyatopolk's short and controversial reign ends. Then finally the reign of Yaroslav the Wise begins, also known as So you see, after his brother's death, Yaroslav reached an agreement with Mstislav of Chernigov in 1026 AD, who was also his brother, and they agreed to split rule, with Yaroslav ruling over the western half centered in Kiev, and Mstislav ruling over the eastern half centered in Chernihiv. And then Yaroslav became the sole ruler in 1036 upon Mstislav's death, as Mstislav had no heir. Yaroslav also crushed the Pecheneks at the Battle of Kiev in 1036 AD, ending their raids and securing the southern borders. But most noticeably, the most important thing Yaroslav did was Yaroslav created the first written legal code in Kyivan Rus, known as Ruskaya Pravda, under which he replaced blood feuds with fines for crimes. He protected property rights and merchants and established rules for inheritance and social order. The Ruskaya Pravda was like the Magna Carta or the Napoleonic Code for medieval Russia. the first real step from chaos to order, from tribal vengeance to structured law. It didn't talk about human rights, but it brought in rules, fines, and courts to replace revenge killings and random justice. It helped shape the legal culture of future Russian and Ukrainian states. Yaroslav also built fortifications, churches, and monasteries, making Kiev a major European city. He encouraged urban development in Novgorod, Chernigov, and other key cities. And so, for these and many more reasons, Yaroslav's reign is rightfully called the Golden Age of Kiev or Golden Age of Kyivan Rus. But you see, no one is immortal. The old and wise ruler, a great leader no doubt, came to realize the inevitability of his own mortality. So he enacted a will. Yaroslav's will wasn't such a wise act on his behalf, as according to his will, he divided the Kievan lands among his surviving sons. As you know, Oprah gives out cars. Everybody in the audience is being given a special package. And I don't want you to open it. Don't open it. Cameras are on you. Wait. Alright, open it. Ta-da! You get some land. 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 Everybody gets some land. Woo! Yaroslav also declared a ladder succession system. So, according to this system, whenever the senior prince, who was Kiev's ruler, whenever he dies, the next eldest brother, not son, would take the throne, and everyone would move up the ladder. Now, both of these acts of Yaroslav eventually led to a system that encouraged fraternal rivalry, and the period is called as the period of fraternal competition. As Svyatoslav I was the eldest, he received Kiev but struggled to maintain authority over his brothers and faced continuous uprising. Silence! I stand before you not as a mere man, but as the eldest son of Yaroslav the Wise. By birthright and destiny, I am your rightful leader. Unite under my command and restore glory to our realm. Look at this doofus. Citizens of Kiev, the winds of fate have brought us to this very moment. I, Svyatoslav I, son of Yaroslav the Wise, heir to a glorious legacy, have returned to you not just as a prince, but as a visionary and a ruler, a beacon of strength and unity. As I am your leader, obey my command and respect my authority. Look at this doofus.
Obey my command and respect my authority.
He was briefly deposed by the townsmen, who were unhappy with his taxation policies and poor governance. Shh, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. No one respects me. They call me doofus and make fun of me. It's okay. We're here for you. Yeah, don't worry about it. His reign was restored for the time being by the help of the Polish and Byzantines, but discontent against him grew more and more. Eventually, in 1078, at his final deposition, his brothers jointly ousted and killed the rebel prince, leading to alternating reigns. The cooperation eventually culminated in the Council of Lubeck in 1097, where all major princely lines agreed to abandon the old Rota succession and hold their patrimonies hereditarily, meaning each prince would rule his own land instead of fighting for Kiev, aiming to end the internecine war. It kind of achieved unity, but it was really short-lived. Kiev remained prestigious but lost actual control over the regions, and regional principalities became stronger and stronger, the most noticeable of which were the Novgorod Republic, Vladimir Suzdal, Galicia Volhynia, and Chernigov and Smolensk. As Kyivan Rus was already fragmented and was slowly losing its former prestige, but the final blow came from an emerging superpower at the time. My milkshake brings all the boys to the yard. What was that? Hey, did you hear something? Nah, man, I didn't hear anything. Must have been the wind. Hey, Jeff! Hey! You hear anything? Do you hear something strange? I said, do you hear something? Yep, you guessed it right. The Mongols. In the early 1220s, Genghis Khan sent generals Subutai and Jebe on a long-range reconnaissance mission through Central Asia, the Caucasus, and into Eastern Europe. In 1223, Mongols clashed with a coalition of Rus princes and Cumans at the Battle of the Kalka River. The Mongols won decisively, but vanished. You see, they weren't there to conquer yet. This created a false sense of security in Rus, as many Rus princes thought the Mongol threat was over. But soon after, when internal feuds were rampant between different Rus principalities, which weakened any hope of a united defense, then at that time came the real invasion under Batu Khan in 1237. The Mongols started their conquest of Eastern Europe, and one by one, all great cities fell to the might of the Golden Horde of the Mongols. And eventually, in the cold and dark November of 1240, came the turn of Kiev when Batu Khan's forces surrounded and sieged Kiev, and eventually at the end, on December the 6th, 1240, the once glorious and prestigious city of Kiev fell to the might of the Mongol horde. The city was systematically destroyed, churches burned, residents killed and enslaved. Chronicles say only a few thousand survived from a city of tens of thousands. Once the spiritual and political heart of Kyivan Rus, Kiev never fully recovered. The Mongols would dominate Rus lands through the Tatar yoke for more than 2 centuries. You see, Mongols didn't occupy every city directly, but installed tribute systems and used local princes as vassals. This Mongol rule shifted power away from Kiev and towards Moscow, which would rise under the Mongol shadow. Yaroslav's reign was the high water mark of medieval Rus. He combined law-giving, ecclesiastical patronage and diplomatic marriage alliances to create a vibrant, Christianized polity. Yet by formalizing the division of land among his sons, he inadvertently institutionalized the dynastic rivalries that would over the next 2 centuries pull his realm apart, leaving the memory of a once unified Kyivan Rus as a foundation myth for later East Slavic states. A quick recap or summary. First of all, the Varangians started to arrive in 750 to 800 AD. Then in 862 AD, a Varangian chieftain named Rurik was invited to rule over different tribes, who founded the Rurikid dynasty. Then Oleg became the ruler who shifted the capital from Novgorod to Kiev. Then Igor, son of Rurik, became ruler after Oleg's death. After Igor got killed by Drevlians, Olga became acting ruler and regent. She is famous for her revenge against Drevlians and her conversion to Christianity. Svyatoslav I, who was Olga and Igor's son, became ruler in 964 AD, known for being a warrior prince who got killed by the Pechniks. After that, civil war starts between the sons of Svyatoslav, in which Vladimir came out on top. Vladimir the Great's reign was marked by Christianization of Rus and flourishing subsequently, for which he is greatly known as the baptizer of Rus. After Vladimir's death in 1015, his sons started fighting for the throne amongst themselves, in which 2 were the most prominent, Svyatopolk the Accursed and Yaroslav the Wise. Yaroslav ultimately defeats Svyatopolk and becomes the new Grand Prince of Kiev. His reign is known as the Golden Age of Kiev. After his death, Svyatoslav I became ruler. Due to his poor governance, he was deposed time and time again, the era known as Triumvirate. In the end, he was killed by his brothers, after which 3 successive reigns came of Svyatopolk II, Vladimir II Monomach, and Mstislav I, after which fragmentation between these princely states accelerated, and eventually, in the end, the House of Cards collapsed after the Mongol invasion in 1240. Hey everyone, hey, did you realize one thing by the way? Whenever I talked about the Kyivan Rus, I always referred to the ruler of Kyivan Rus as Grand Prince and never referred to them as kings. Why is that? Well, comment down below if you know the answer.